Welcome everyone. My name is Petronella Burciag and I will take you through the main elements of the capacity building in higher education call for proposals, which is also known as CBHE. The CBHE call is part of the second pillar of the Erasmus Plus program, Key Action 2, and it supports international cooperation projects based on multilateral partnerships between organizations active in the field of higher education. You will see the call explained in Part B of the Erasmus Plus program. You have everything you need to know there. Please use the call as a roadmap when starting to design your project proposal. In particular, check the eligibility criteria, as if you don't meet the eligibility criteria, your proposals cannot be evaluated. Coming to the purpose and context of the action, CBHE is meant to support relevance, quality, modernization, and responsiveness of higher education institutions and systems around the world. In line with the Sustainable Development Goals and the Paris Agreement, the action targets mainly the needs of the third countries not associated to the Erasmus Plus program, and is trying to address EU Erasmus Plus program priorities set for these countries and regions, including the Global Gateway strategy. The main purpose is to support the higher education in these countries to improve their response to socioeconomic challenges such as the globalization, recovery, growth and prosperity needs in these countries, but also reacting to social unrest and other economic and environmental inequalities. So the main message is that the action is geared towards the needs of the higher education institutions and systems in the third countries not associated to the program, and the needs are and the target groups in these countries are as well the starting point in your proposal. The third countries not associated to the program that are eligible to take part in the different strands of this action are regrouped in 10 different regions according to the EU's external action instruments. You will find the definition of these regions in Part A of the program. Among its main objectives, CBHE aims to raise the quality of the higher education system around the world and enhance the relevance for the labor market and society at large. For example, improving the employability of the students around the world and establishing closer links with the business sector. Another important focus in CBHE is the promotion of inclusive education, equality, equity, non-discrimination, civic engagement and accessibility, and also besides modernizing the teaching programs and methodologies and improving the education systems through also institutional governance and management and the strengthening of the organizations in these countries, it is also aiming to address regional issues and support regional alliances, piloting innovative approaches and initiatives built to foster country ownerships on pressing issues. CBHE tackles 5 Erasmus Plus overarching priorities, as well as the Global Gateway strategy. It depends on the strand and the regions that you're trying to tackle. These priorities are of strategic importance for the EU and for many countries in the world. The higher education and training systems in these countries play a key role in addressing big challenges in these areas and can help identify long-term solutions to local problems. The spectrum is very wide. We are talking about Green Deal, so contributing to a climate-neutral society or climate transition, and also digital transformation, so improving digital skills and competences of the teachers, of the students, improving connectivity, access from remote regions, also integration of migrants, for example, recognition of qualifications of people that are displaced, all sorts of legal pathways depending to their situation, but also issues related to governance, peace, security, human development, largely the human rights domain, social and economic rights, democracy, fundamental values, governance, citizenship, and so on, and also sustainable growth and jobs. skills, entrepreneurship, employability. These are main areas of activity that you can tackle in this action. And of course, the Global Gateway is very important. You will see this year strategies linked to the Global Gateway need to be tackled, especially in regions earmarked for Strand 3. To give you a concrete project example, you can look at the Migrants Project, which has been funded in the South Mediterranean region. And this is a joint collaboration between countries in Europe and countries in Tunisia, like Tunisia, for example. They set up a joint master among 3 Tunisian higher education institutions, and besides setting a modern curriculum, third education level, they also set an example in the region for overcoming major bureaucratic and organizational challenges. They also gave careful consideration to vulnerable groups at admission stage already, and they provided sound training for Tunisian staff and students shadowing in EU universities. They set the path to create a double degree. So after the project, there are also activities to set a double degree between the EU universities involved and the Tunisian actors. So our call is typically 100 million a year, and we can fund around 150 proposals based on a lump sum type 2 funding model. You'll see the details in the program, and we can fund up to 90% of the total costs. We are responding to the challenges and the priorities to address in the third countries not associated to the program in 3 ways. So in 3 strands, CBHE projects can apply in 3 strands. The first one is about newcomers, mainly with smaller projects and smaller duration. The second is about transformation and innovation in higher education with larger projects. And the third strand with structural reform or more systemic change with the longer duration projects up to 4 years and €1 million funding. For example, in strand 1, we're talking about newcomers. This is about fostering access to cooperation in higher education, so strengthening the internationalization dimension in third countries. Higher education institutions that haven't been involved in the program yet can apply, or that haven't had a chance to develop their internationalization strategy yet, and also individuals with fewer opportunities can be addressed as a target group. There are various ways of setting up projects, whether you tackle the management and the administration of the higher education institutions themselves, but also the degrees, so improving the quality of the relevant education in these countries by setting up various study programs and developing capacities of postgraduate students or academic staff, implementing training courses and so on. Everything that is linked to accessibility of individuals and organizations with fewer opportunities. In strand 2, the focus is very much on the transformation in higher education, so establishing links with local actors on various issues, in particular the private sector. If we're talking about innovation in higher education, for example, designing of curricula that are closer to the demands of the private sector, innovative learning and teaching methods, for example, can be developed, and also increasing synergies and active engagement with the world beyond the academia, so the business world, the research world, and also institutional and civil society if needed. Reforms are also possible in this action, reforms of higher education systems, for example, taking on board Bologna type of reforms, and also governance of and management of the systems in these countries. In the third strand, the ambition ambition for structural reform is even higher because the purpose of this strand is to develop coherent and sustainable systems of higher education to meet socioeconomic needs and broad ambitions to create a knowledge-driven economies in third countries not associated to the program. So these projects can be very long-term, can go up to 4 years, and they can involve governments as well, like ministries of higher education, because we're tackling system change, and sometimes we need to be sure that the government is on board to drive long-lasting impact and policies. In this action, we have 3 types of projects. We have the national dimension, so organizations from one eligible country only, but we go to multi-countries in one region, as well multi-countries cross-regional. So there are various possibilities, and you will find the details again once the work program is published. Who can apply? Basically, as a coordinator, it's mainly open to universities, so higher education institutions, and organizations of higher education institutions. As a partner, it will always depend on what you're trying to achieve, the strand you're tackling, the priorities you're tackling, and of course, if you are going for a strand 2 project and you want to establish closer link with the business sector, it's important advised to involve companies, so the private sector, so this is possible, and also you can involve civil society, associations, NGOs, public and actors at local and national level as well. So this all depends on the purpose of your project. Your project will need to be built on work packages, which are the building blocks of your proposal, similarly to other calls in the program, and you need to submit a budget that is based on actual estimated costs. So at this stage of the proposal, you don't need to worry so much about the funding because you apply as if it was a budget-based action. We have some rules, some unit cost applying to travel and accommodation, for example, some limits to subcontracting and equipment, for example. This is all explained in the program. So basically you build a proposal based on what you need to achieve, and then if you get a grant, we will fix a lump sum during the grant preparation. Similarly to the other actions in the program, we have 4 award criteria, and these award criteria should be at the core of designing process and presenting your proposal, because it is based on these very criteria that your proposals will be scored against. So you need to follow all the elements described in the call when the call is published, and this is how you will need to reach at least 50% in each criterion and 60 of the total score to be considered for funding. Eligible for funding, of course, it will depend on the available budget per region, as well in a second step, the consultation with the EU delegations. So just very quickly to mention the criteria, the highest scored are the relevance of the project, that can score maximum 30 points. Then we have the quality of the project design and implementation, also 30 points. And then we have quality of the partnership and cooperation arrangements and the impact, 20 points each. Regarding the timeline, again, a typical timeline, the call will normally publish by the end of November. Please monitor the Erasmus Plus program page and the EU funding and tenders portal. This is the important page to always have a look at. The deadline is typically in February, early February, and then we evaluate, and by August at the very latest we send the results to the applicants. And if you still need to find partners and check organizations that you already know are active in the sector and you like to cooperate and see what expertise is available, you can always go on our platforms and learn from existing projects and available results, the Erasmus Plus program results, platform includes projects that were selected up to call 2020, and from 2021 you can see on the EU funding and tender portals the EU funded projects tab. Thank you very much, and I hope that with this general presentation you will embark into writing a proposal for the CBHE action.